Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Mr. Adolf and this is your Four Walls. See what's on the green board. For the classwork, I will first and foremost pay a little homage to literature. And for this one, I have a powerful novel from the iconic John Grisham to share with you before letting you into the topic of the moment, titled Brain Drain in Nigerian Educational System. After that comes the examination with a special guest who knows where it bites. Then we'll do the grading and finally I will drop the assignment. As a matter of great need, let's catch up with the latest news on education. For this one from Punch, the head of Nigerian National Office of the West African Examination Council, Olu Adenikpekun, recently announced that out of the 1,572,396 candidates who sat for 2018 West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination in the country, only 858,424 obtained credits and above in minimum of 5 subjects, including English language but without mathematics. This placed the population that passed mathematics alone at 713,972, while stakeholders bemoan the disappointing result. A mathematician and a teacher, of course, over 16 years, that's Adebayo Wolabi, has warned that the poor performances in the subjects would persist unless teachers adopt a more positive attitude to teaching as a profession and a better methodology. Then there's another news coming on from Daily Post. On this one it says, University of Ibadan, that's Unibadan, Senior Staff Housing Committee has urged persons who are illegally occupying staff quarters of the institution to vacate the buildings. The chairman, Professor Musilio Nilude, who gave this warning in a statement obtained by Daily Post, lamented that many retirees whose tenancies have expired long ago still occupy the university's quarters at the expense of staff members who desperately need to stay on campus in order to perform optimally. He, however, urged the illegal occupants to vacate the buildings before it becomes embarrassing, as some drastic measures are in the pipeline to ensure sanity in the campus. When I come back after the break, I'll be doing what I call almost a book review, a book written by John Grisham. Don't go away, I'll be right back. Welcome back. I told you about the book that I'll be reviewing with you, but I call it almost a book review because this is not the full book review. It's a book by John Grisham titled The Street Lawyer. First and foremost, let's look at this. There's just a few writers in the world who can cast powerful spell on the readers effortlessly. Legendary John Grisham is among the first 10 in the world, yes. Grisham is the author of bestsellers like Runaway Jury, The Client, The Chamber, The Pelican Brief. Also, he has this fictional novel that was said to have sold 6 million copies in the first year of release. That's The Street Lawyer. Grisham, if you ask me, is a brutal architect of tough stories. But for this one, he was unforgivably merciless in constructing this story. The characters are rich, beautiful, and individual. He carefully paid attention to details in constructing each one's personality and target. In this prose, published in 1998 by Bantam Books, he built suspense and thrills, and they all got off the radar. The Street Lawyer is the story of Michael Brock, a young, vivacious, fast-rising Washington, D.C. legal practitioner with the aspiration, I say, the size of North America. Of course, the novel was set in Washington, D.C., but there were so many other locations that were touched in that story. So the center character works with Drake and Sweeney law firm that was situated in Washington, D.C. It was said to be the biggest legal firm with 800 lawyers. So at that time, Michael's time to become partner in that firm was just 3 years away. So knowing that he was aggressively climbing the ladder of success, heading to mega millions and fame, he has no time to relax. Michael has no time for conscience or even consider the beggars on the street or even the homeless, people on the... That also asks for the question. So Washington, D.C. also have roadside beggars, homeless people who seem to have been forgotten by the government. It's not like it's always in Lagos you see roadside beggars, even in Washington, D.C., where Trump stays now. So a day came, Michael encountered a mentally derailed homeless man who was later known to have been in and out of special home for the past 20 years. That eventual attack was quick, cruel, and lethal, but Michael survived. That man didn't survive. This is what happened in that place. There was a sniper, police sniper, who took out the man when the man was, attacking Michael while he was on his way home. But the question was, why would a police sniper go for this man? He was a homeless man who seemed harmless, only looking for what to eat. But he attacked Michael. It's understandable that he was mentally ill. But for the police, not coming to take him out in a civil manner, but using a gun, a sniper, far away to shoot him dead. So that brings the wild wind in that story. There was a turning point at this point. He comes, to understand that there is something fishy. So he began to dig deep. There are a lot of confusions in the happening around that man. So he began to dig deep, went into the files that the company had, and discovered that the death of that man on the street, his story was seriously tied to the firm that he was working with, and he decided to question the firm. But then he understood that deeper secrets were lurking around. So what he did was he needed more evidences, and with less files that he could grab, he just bolted out from the company, ran away, and then he decided to become poverty lawyer, go into the streets, representing the homeless, digging deep to find out what truly happened. And you know what would happen if you are a single man who doesn't have money and you want to fight a big firm like Drake and Sweeney, one of the biggest in Washington, D.C. Number one was that they knew that you stole their files. So first and foremost, you're a thief. And for them to be able to kill a veteran who was just a homeless man on the street, you are in the street, you will be killed and the case will be closed because nobody will know your killer. So that is the story of Michael. And it was, while I was reading this story, I was just, many things were going into my head because I thought only in politics you play dirty game. Even among the lawyers who are supposed to be truthful and real with the facts, there's so many dirty secrets in the firm, and that's a thing of concern. Let me quickly introduce you to the topic that I'm going to be discussing today: brain drain in Nigerian educational system. A lot of people ask the question, why would anybody decide to leave his or her country for greener pastures? Where is this greener pastures? Anybody who is going for greener pastures know where it is and know where to find it. And the question again is, in Nigeria, people who are living are actually living for the reason of not having better condition in their workplace or in the educational system. So they're looking for the place where it is better. And when people are deciding to leave, so many damages are going on in the economy, in the educational system, in every aspect of Nigeria. So this is what we'll be discussing, and I have my guests already in the studio. When I come back after the break, we'll be delving deep into this discussion. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. With me is Favor Onyoziri.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Favor. I heard so much about you, what you do with the media, and I understand that you are media what?
I'm a digital media practitioner.
When I was studying about you, I actually don't know the name to come up for, because you're doing so much for top brands, representing them, promoting, top brands in Nigeria.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
And I also learned that you are a trained teacher.
Yeah, I am. I'm a trained teacher. I studied education.
My concern is brain drain in
Okay.
Nigerian educational system.
Okay.
You are a trained teacher, first and foremost. You agreed to be trained as a teacher, and here you are representing people, representing big brands on social media, getting big money. So the question now is, I know you don't want to be drained away, but then you stayed, but not staying where you were called. Why?
Okay, it's common knowledge that teachers are not well paid in Nigeria. Academics generally, from primary school to the secondary level, even up to the tertiary level, they are not well paid. And so who wants to be underpaid when they could do something else that would give them big bucks at the end of the day? So at the end of the day, everyone tries as much as possible to earn more and live the good life.
I have heard of teachers who receive 200 to 300,000 naira as salary here in Nigeria.
I don't know why you think that's big bucks.
Well, if some teachers if some teachers receive 20,000 naira, or some things that are lesser than the minimum wage, especially those who are in the private sector, and someone is receiving 200,000 naira, some people also say that they, beyond their job, they create so many other avenues that money come in.
Okay.
So it's about creativity. It's about looking outside the box. So you decided not to be a teacher and chose this.
Yes, I did.
Because of money.
Not just because of money. I also have interest for the media. I have interest in advertising, and I had to professionally go into advertising after school. So it was a mixture. I earn far much more than I would have if I were in teaching, and I also do something.
And where stays the joy of teaching? Like they say, there is joy in teaching.
Well, I hope to come back to teaching.
When?
Later.
All right. Okay, brain drain in Nigerian education. First and foremost, I understand brain drain as a situation where so many people are moving from their country because of certain, reasons.
Yes.
To a better place. For example, people in Africa migrating to other parts of the developed country, so to say, because of greener pastures. Now, these are intellectuals. Sometimes these are professionals seeking greener pastures. That does a lot to the economy. What would you say it does to the economy?
Well, it affects the economy negatively. You realize that our GDP keeps reducing. There's a dearth of intellectuals, there's a dearth of professionals. So generally, it's more or less seems like you get a lower quality of professionals, of experts in every field, because the competitive ones have left for where they would get more competitive pay, more or less.
So, you decided to stay.
Yeah,
Number one.
I've decided to stay.
Did you ever dream of leaving at one point in your life?
I never used to dream of leaving.
Why?
I was born patriotic. My parents lived here, and
don't tell me that those who left
we're sold the vision of a Nigeria that is going to work and is gradually working, and like every other country, we would get there. Every country had their struggling moments and would eventually get there.
Compare the education in Nigeria with, while you studied in the University of Lagos.
Yeah, I did.
If you had been given an opportunity to study abroad, wouldn't you have grabbed it?
I would grab it with both hands.
Why?
And my legs. Of course, studying abroad gives you a lot of opportunities. You learn more. Their curriculum is better. The conditions of learning are much more better. You even get grants, student grants. You can get loans. You can get scholarships. So learning over there, it's not a matter of choice. It's generally better and it's better. So it's only logical to want to study there at the least.
Then come back.
Then come back if you wish to.
But many people do not come back at the end of the day.
Well, at the end of the day, coming back to Nigeria is a question of individual choice. Now, if we were to make it logical, say, which of the alternatives have better incentives? Staying back have better incentives because you'll be better paid. The conditions of working are better over there. You have more prestige. No one looks down on you no matter the job you are doing. And compared to coming back, so coming back is more of a decision to come and give back.
No one looks down on you. Did you align yourself with that the Black Matter or Black Lives Matter campaign?
No, I'm not talking in that light. I'm talking about dignity in labor. Over here, some jobs attract more prestige than the others, while some other jobs are looked down upon and no one wants to identify with such jobs.
Okay, so now let's look at education proper. So many teachers go out of the shores of Nigeria to seek better job opportunities in teaching. If these people would stay, education would improve, because what I understand is that most of the intellectuals, educators who leave, they are well trained, very, very trained.
The very best.
At the very best. Now, when they leave, they are contributing to the education system in these countries. I study all of them. Most of them will still come back to Nigeria, run a seminar telling us how green it is over there and all of that. They would do nothing here.
Okay.
What is this doing to the Nigerian education system?
Of course, it's reducing the standard of education. It's reducing the value of education. And to some extent, you can't blame these people because there is a maximum an individual can do, and there is a minimum the government should do. So if at the least the government has made teaching and learning conducive, you learn and teach under conducive environments, these academics have well-furnished offices, they have housing allowance and the rest, and these are actually made available, then they would consider staying, even if the pay is not as luxurious as they would want it to. But in situations where you find out that in the classroom, you are sweating in the classroom, a classroom that was initially built for 50 students, you have to house 200, 250 students in it, and you are not even getting, the take home every month is still not that good. There's only so much you can do.
Well, so much we can still talk about when we come back after the break, because there is something about nation building, but that's when we come back after the break. Don't go away. You're welcome back. Still with Favor Onyoziri.
Yes.
Educator who turned promoter online, making bigger money. So, Favor, I mentioned something before we went on the break about nation building.
Okay.
And you know, a nation is as strong as the educational system. Did you ever hear that in school?
That's very true.
That is very true. So, if education system is being, ripped off of all the materials, like you, who is a trained and certified teacher, thank God that you're not outside the country, but it's as good as you are not doing the job that you're called for. But then, these people who are outside the shores of Nigeria, what do you think should be the campaign or the advocacy for them to return home and do something about the education system?
They can't return home if the conditions that necessitated them migrating have not been addressed.
The condition cannot fall from heaven. People have got to do it.
Exactly, people have got to do it. So the people that have got to do it, they should do it. We know that the people that have to do it are mostly the political class. And luckily for us, we have not gotten to the point where our political class rule from abroad. So at least we are sure that they are still here. They exist here. So the least they can do is put these conditions in place before you can attract because at the end of the day, migration, brain drain, there are push and pull factors. There are factors that are pushing these people away, and there are factors over there that are attracting them to come. So if those factors are attracting them to go over there are actually existent here, why do they need to go? They wouldn't need to go.
That is true. So let's make do with properties that we have, intellectuals that we have now. Okay. What do you think? I wouldn't lie. I'm a teacher. So are you.
Interesting.
And I wonder what... This is my classroom. That makes it more interesting.
Interesting.
So, what do you also think? What would you prefer as a solution for the people who are on ground? Because you're talking about government. It's not just government. Government is just a segment of the stakeholders.
True.
What would people do? Some parents are already giving their children this notion, hey, do well, by end of secondary school, you will travel out.
Sent abroad.
That kind of promise was given to me at my final year.
Oh, was it granted?
So as I was saying, in all of this and the fact that we see the abroad generally as a place to head to, as if it's heaven.
Yeah.
What do you think should be done in terms of educating people right now?
Okay, you seem not to be too keen on the governmental approach.
Like, before the government, the
exactly,
people first.
exactly. So if we are going to have a more granular, basic solution, that would be the fact that people should realize that every great nation had citizens who made sacrifices to get it to where it is today. And if you are still going to be proud of being in Nigeria, and if you want to still be a Nigerian, then you should be willing to make those basic sacrifices. So you should stay. Then I feel there should be more advocacy from educationists. At the end of the day, laws and policies are products of legislative moves and lobbying. So you can't just stay, relax, and wait for things to happen. The citizens themselves, they have a lot of responsibilities to do in this regards. And unluckily for us, or luckily for us, whichever way, there are no specific requirements. It is not required that before you can be the president of Nigeria, you need to be a professor or the like. So even those in authority may not really grasp the importance of what is happening. So it is now left to you as a professional to find ways to push these things to the government while realizing that you also need to make personal sacrifices and stay while working towards the promised land we all hope to end up in someday.
Okay, but anybody who is trained abroad, because I want to also focus on nation building. Okay. If you're trained abroad, that's my concern. You coming home with the trainings that you've gotten abroad, how would you fit into this system? Because our African cultures and everything also need to be put into consideration.
True.
When repair programs need to come down.
Yeah.
So if you're trained as a teacher abroad, you worked abroad, and you want to come home, you bring in the idea of teaching to Nigeria. Do you think it's going to work?
It's going to work.
Why?
At the end of the day, we've realized that so many models that work abroad have worked in Nigeria. You just need to tweak it and indigenalize it. For instance, we have so many brands now. Food. We have Domino's, for instance. Nigerians now eat pizza. Nigerians take a lot of ice cream and the likes. Nigerians are now into cinema and the likes. So you realize that these things work. And in fact, it is an advantage for you who have been out there. You can bring those inventions back home. The use of teaching aids, the liberal mindset that you come with. You realize that examinations are not a kill me or I kill you. It's to help you upgrade to build the individual. So coming with such liberal mindsets, coming from a place where you've experienced the diversity of learning and teaching, it should help you coming to a Nigeria where everything seems to still exist in the narrow spectrum.
All right. So on this program, I do grading.
Okay.
The normal classroom, because this is just examination that we concluded. So we're going to grade the results. So on the grading, I have A, C, and F. A is excellent, C is fair, and F is terrible.
Okay.
So, talking about brain drain in Nigerian educational system, for the individual, individual student or individual professional, how would you rate them in terms of leaving the country for greener pastures? A, C, F.
A for excellent.
C for fair. Then F for terrible.
Okay. Terrible meaning what now?
Meaning F. F9.
That they are not living.
No. The grading is to let us know if what their decision is proper.
Okay. In that light, I would give it an excellent.
Excellent.
It's an excellent decision, without bias.
Okay, for the family, as the smallest unit of the society, how would you rate the family in terms of teaching children to be patriotic and nationalistic?
Probably an F.
Families are not doing well.
Families are not doing well. At the most, they are teaching children to be regionalist and tribalistic. I don't think a lot of people are not pushing the idea of a Nigeria as a nation, as a country, as one diverse people. I think they are pushing more of regional agendas, and that is too bad.
What would you give the government finally?
I'll give the government an F. Because the government has been sleeping on its responsibilities, both in terms of nation building and in terms of rewarding people who have been patriotic so far.
Thank you so much, Favour Onyoziri. Media what again?
Digital media practitioner.
And a teacher. I only remember the teacher because that's the only relevant thing to me. So, Favour, thank you so much for coming around to discuss brain drain in Nigeria. You can hear that Favour fully support people leaving Nigeria for greener pastures and all of that. But then I am telling you, stay back home. Let's build our nation because other countries have got to come here and build our economy with us. But that has to do with how far we've gone. And the strength of every nation is on the educational pillars. So we'll build our education, then we will build our country. So for the assignment, see what's on the screen right now. You will drop the result, you will drop your answers on 4 words on Facebook. Go to Facebook and search for 4 words, drop your answers, and get connected with the discussion going on. It's a wonderful show. This is Brain Drain's, a problem in Nigeria. Let's tackle it. Nigeria belongs to us. It's our education. Let's push it forward. Until I see you next time, bye-bye.